Title: Art Beyond Sight, Bringing Art and Culture to All. Opening the Digital Doorway. Leveraging Technology to Build Inclusive Museum Experiences. The Morgan Library, October 22, 2014. Walei Sabry, Consultant, Disability Access and Awareness. Good and Bad Design in iPhone Apps.
Okay, it's a screen reader, as you know, Karen had mentioned before. It's the screen reader for Apple, so it's on iPhones, it's on their Mac OS platform as well, and it comes standard with all of their products. So it's on Apple TV. It's nothing you have to pay extra for, basically. How it works, much like, so if you're using a computer, to use a screen reader, you use the keyboard instead of the mouse to navigate. For touchscreen devices, what it does is, so if you're sighted, or if you're not using VoiceOver, you just touch something on the screen,
unlock button,
like an app, and it just launches, right?
Externalize folder, 10 out.
So when you're using VoiceOver, it adds an extra layer in between that, so you can actually, so whatever I will touch on the screen, it will just read out loud.
Settings.
Right, so that's settings, but it didn't activate it. If I would want to activate it, I'll just double tap on it.
Settings.
Right, so that's just kind of like a brief introduction into
settings.
How it
Messages.
Works. Okay. Some other important stuff to know is, well, that's really just the basics of it. I'm just going to jump into using some really some popular apps in the blind community. Am I too close to the mic?
The library folder, 20 out.
So first,
the
I'm
library.
going to show for you. And
Text
by the way, is this too fast?
Speech
You
rate.
had already slowed it down already.
45%, 40%, 30%, 25%.
Okay.
Voice stream.
That sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys have heard of the National Library Services, they produce audiobooks for the blind, and they have the service called Bard. And they recently came out with an app. So it's for audiobooks, for downloading and listening to audiobooks.
Page 1 of 3. Bard Mobile.
So I'm just going to open up this app because it's a
Bard
great
Mobile.
example.
Don't call me inspirational. A disabled feminist talks back. Heading.
It's a great example of what I call accessibility, but also kind of user-friendliness, a good kind of interface, a good layout. So in the bottom, you got your
tab. 1 of 4.
tabs, which I love. When an app has these tabs in the bottom, it just helps kind of not just orient yourself, but just get to things faster. So, I got my bookshelf.
Bookshelf, get books. Tab.
If I
2
would
of
like
4.
to download more books, I go to Get Books, just to show you
Get
what
books.
the screen looks like. And it's all very simple, it's just, once I click on a tab, I can just kind of slide my finger from top to bottom to see what's on the screen.
Wish list. Audiobooks. Audio magazines. Braille books.
Right?
Settings. Tab.
And then there's
3 of
settings,
4.
for settings and all of
Bookshelf.
that. So
Tab.
I'm just going to show you
Bookshelf. Select category. Heading.
how to play a book, right?
Audiobooks. 4 items.
I'm going to choose audiobooks, and
Audiobooks.
here it is.
4 items.
Don't call
Bookshelf.
me.
Author. Button. Don't call me inspirational. A disabled
Right.
feminist talks back.
It's a good book,
Rousseau.
by the way.
Don't call me inspirational. A disabled feminist
Right,
talks back.
so
Heading.
here the controls, it's you got your standard controls for sort of playing music or playing audio. You got the play, rewind, and forward, and they also kind
Alert.
of. Oops.
The request timed out. Okay. Button. Don't call me inspirational. A disabled feminist.
So on this screen, you have things. They added a couple of things to kind of make listening to the audiobook either more efficient or just more pleasant. So I can play. Hopefully, it will play.
Settings. Get. Bookshelf. Tab. 1 of 4. Don't call me inspirational. A disabled feminist talks back. Don't call me inspirational. A disabled jump by play button. Stop.
Part of his fatherly responsibility.
So,
And I didn't.
Play.
while I'm playing it, actually, let me keep playing
Stop.
it. I could do things like speed it up.
The
Settings.
woman who was
Tab.
constantly being
Speed.
called on
Normal.
to prove to
Adjustable.
the world
That's
that I
normal
could do it
speed.
myself.
125%.
I was relieved to be able to give
150%.
for at least one area of my life.
175%.
I was probably card illiterate. My dad prided himself in being my literacy.
Right? And
It is
it's
different.
giving me good
Which is
feedback. It's
when I
not just
usually
telling
try
me
something weeks.
that the
Let's have a
speed
joke
also,
about it.
but when I
Reassuringly
reach,
offered
200%.
dropped dead on the highway.
225%. 250%. 275%.
but let's see how fast this goes.
300%. Maximum. 300%. Maximum.
Alright, and you see when I get to 300, it says maximum, right?
125%. Normal. 75%. Normal.
And when I get to the middle, 100%, it says normal. That's the
Deferring
most.
her own
So
desires.
it's good
Set
feedback.
stop for my father's more
Play.
It's good feedback, and it kind of just gives you more information, not just in percent. It also makes, if you guys noticed, when I get to normal, it makes a beeping sound. When I get to like the maximum speed, it also makes a beeping sound. So it uses not just kind of verbal descriptions of things, but also audio. I've heard them being called ear cons before. And there's also ways of navigating, so like sort of like a table of contents.
Navigation.
Right?
Button.
Up in the top right here is navigation.
Navigation.
And
1.
it
Don't
shows
call me
me
inspirational.
the
A disabled
chapters.
feminist.
The chapters, and I can just
1.
choose one.
1 plus. I. Close
Right.
encounters with the clueless.
And I would just choose one of those, and it would just start playing it.
Don't call me inspirational. Skippable. Button. Don't call me inspirational.
And there's other controls that you can use, but I'm not going to kind of linger on this app too long. What I will say also is they have this custom voiceover gesture to play and pause, and that's a 2-finger double tap, and if I do that at any time... Okay, well, it didn't work that time for some reason. It actually just played my music instead.
Speed. Normal. Play.
But
Button.
let me just make
Stop.
sure.
Gray or brown.
Let's see what happens.
Stop.
Right? It just stopped it with the gesture.
Just this past year,
Right.
perhaps sensing her own
And I could
mortality.
leave the app and it keeps
And
playing. I
Large
can even
mobile.
lock
The
the
library.
screen
Heading. Text field.
and it's
She
still
had
playing.
put her foot down.
And I just did the gesture. I'm not even in the app, and I paused it. And if the screen is locked, I can actually use the remote, the play and pause in the remote to control it as well. So that's the Bard app, and I'm going to show you another
The
popular
library
app
folder.
called
20 apps.
Blind Square, and that's a good wayfinding app. There are many, and I'm just going to show only one of them because I could spend probably all day showing you all the different GPS apps that have been developed for the blind.
Externalized folder. Navigation folder. Navigate blind square.
And this is
Active
good.
filter states only. Search. Button.
Why I like this app is it's good. It's not necessarily good for finding
No network
a
connection.
route.
Can search for places.
It's not necessarily good for planning a route, but it's more for orienting yourself. So when I get out from the subway and I need to know, which way is north, or what street corner I'm on, or even like which way my destination is, it kind of gives me that information. I don't really have very good reception here, but the first thing I usually do is just shake my phone. I don't even have to touch anything on the screen.
Your location.
And it tells me my location if it can get it. I don't think we're going to get it here. But it would say something like the nearest intersection is...
You have only 47% of battery left. And retrieve your address. GPS accuracy is poor, but 1.24.
and at least it told me GPS accuracy is poor. So, it's aware. And there is another feature of this app that I really like, which is called the look around feature. I'm going to try to turn it on just for fun.
Search. Tools. Button. Select action. Look around. Button.
Right, and when
Search.
I actually do have GPS
To
reception,
the northeast. No places found within radius of about 330 feet.
right, it's saying no
Network connection
places.
is working again.
It's saying no places found because, you know, I don't have any reception down here. But if I, you know, move to the left,
To the north.
right, it's telling me which
East
way
31st Street and Madison Avenue.
pointing
About
it.
86 feet.
All right, and it thinks
East
that
33rd Street. 5th Avenue and West
thinks
33rd
we're
Street.
by
About
33rd
700
Street.
to the northeast.
So,
East 31st Street and Madison
I think
Avenue. About to the north.
sorry.
The look around feature has been turned off. Your location button. Mute speech. Button. Speech on.
So the software is all good. It's more of a hardware issue. You know, GPS accuracy is just never really that not for walking anywhere, or at least in New York, it's just not that reliable. But it does help, and you know, and it also just does. You know, sometimes I just end up walking in circles for a while before I find out which way is really the right way. But you know, it's better than nothing, and you know. Once that kind of technology improves, I think it's going to be a lot more reliable and useful. So let me
App
show
switcher.
you some
Bard
more.
mobile. Run. Close Bard mobile. Settings. Run. Blind square. Run.
Well, you've got about 5 or 6 minutes.
Blind square.
Awesome.
Navigation.
So
Heading.
I'm going to show
Text
you
view.
guys something really quick here that's pretty popular as well.
Externalize folder. 10 apps.
And
Externalize.
that
Heading.
is
Text view.
an app called TapTapsy.
Page 1 of 2. Text detected. Tap my reader. TapTapsy.
And this one's is a very popular app,
TapTapsy.
and I think it
Repeat.
gets the most
Button.
kind of wow when I show it to sighted users, I guess. And what this does is I can, and I like this app interface because it's very simple. It's just a big button on the screen to take a picture. And on the top, you got,
Repeat.
you know, repeat, which I will get into in a little bit, what that does.
Library. Share.
And share. So once you take a picture, you can share it. And the library is to take an existing picture from your own library.
Camera. Button.
How do you guys feel about me taking a picture of you? Awesome.
Camera. Button.
There's nothing in my way, right? Is there?
Camera. Picture 1 in progress.
Okay. So it's going to send it out to the cloud somewhere, and it's going to find somebody, and that somebody's going to describe it for us. So if I have good enough internet, we'll get an answer soon. And now we just wait.
Would Wi-Fi help?
Huh?
Would Wi-Fi help?
Oh yes, I guess I should have asked earlier. But the reason I didn't ask is because I tested it in the
Picture
back.
1 failed. Trouble sending image.
I tried it when I was in the back, and everything worked, including blind square. But I guess all of the 10, 15, 20 feet that I walked made a huge difference. But it would say something like picture of, you know, people sitting down on chairs or something of that sort. I took a picture actually of Ibrahim when he was standing next to me. He didn't know. But it says man standing with blind stick. That's what it says.
Picture 1 failed. Trouble sending image.
So,
Home.
so this one is called
Externalize.
TapTapsy. The previous app was called Blind Square for the navigation one. So let me show you guys some stuff that's
Externalize folder.
no
10
good.
apps.
It's no good at all.
Chat folder. 12 apps.
And I have to use this app all the time.
Chat.
But it's
Heading.
a
Text view.
VoIP app. If I use it for work, that's a voice over IP.
Ring Central. 11 new
And
items.
it's usable, but so you guys see the interface here. It's just it's basically a sort of phone app, and it has the tabs in the bottom, which is great. Now let's see what happens when we try to read the tabs in the bottom.
RCSP call normal icon. Button.
Anybody get that?
RCSP text normal icon. Button.
Right? RCSP text normal icon. That's what it's saying. Now, I've used apps long enough where I know to, you know, kind of weed out all the junk, and basically that means messages. The text part means messages.
RCSP call normal icon.
Right? RCSP call normal icon. That basically means keypad. And I had to figure that out for myself. If it was labeled correctly, I wouldn't really have to worry about that. So that's kind of an example of Don't do that. Don't let it
Rinse
happen.
chat. Heading. Text field.
So another example of something
Chat folder.
is
12 apps. Doc. Phone. 2. Page 1 of doc. Page 1 of 3. Vice News. Log touch doc. Page 2 of 3. Presentation folder. 3 apps. Here Mecca. Menu pages.
Okay. So another bad example. Don't follow this lead, please. So we got the menu pages app, and it has basically venues near you, where you could look up the menu.
Okay. Button.
And it has a pretty decent setup. I mean, you got the tabs on the bottom, like I like.
South Florida. Washington, D.C. Chicago.
Who cares anyway?
For exit cities. Back button. Map. Tab.
Okay,
2 of
so
4.
in this app, you have, it shows you places around you via map, which is usually not accessible, but then they have a list order here,
List.
right?
Tab. 3 of 4. List. Favorite. List. Tab. List.
Right.
Tab. 3 of 4.
And in this
Empty
list,
list.
it's not showing much now, but it really wouldn't, how do you say, nothing is labeled. So it's, it's a list, which is nice, but then
Server error. The
it
request
doesn't-
timed out.
when you have an actual internet reception, it still wouldn't say anything. So it would show visually what's around us, but it really wouldn't be of any use to us. I wish it was working so I could show you guys what it's like, but take my word for it.
Home. Menu
and
page. Presentation.
to-
Heading. Text field.
How many minutes? I want to show one last thing.
Yeah, sure, one last thing.
Okay, and this is very relevant. I downloaded this app yesterday, but a friend kind of just dropped it on my lap. Perfect timing. It's the North Carolina Museum of Natural Science app, and they did a really, really good job of creating this app and making it accessible. Whoops.
Presentation folder. 3 apps. Here Mecca. Menu page. NC.
Okay, and
NC. Back. Dim.
once again, there's a good kind of layout here with the tabs in the bottom.
Selected. Museum.
Right.
Tab.
So this is
1
kind
of 3.
of this tab where you just kind of learn
The content can be loaded.
learn about the museum if you have internet connection.
Exhibits. Tab. Exhibits. Tab.
And
2 of 3.
there's the exhibits
Selected.
tab. Maybe
Exhibits.
that doesn't need.
Tab. Arthropod Zoo.
Right.
Exploration. 4th floor.
Okay, and it says the author whatever. Let's see.
Arthropod Zoo. Cat Beyond Our Planet. Research. 3rd
Beyond
floor.
our planet, right? And it says research 3rd floor. There's 2 buildings in the museum, and one of them is the research building, and it has 3 floors. The reason I'm saying this is when I took the tour for this app, it said that the map, which is on the 3rd tab, you can swipe right and left to switch between buildings, and you can swipe up and down to switch between floors.
Map.
So
Tab. Exploration. 1st
right,
floor.
I'm in the exploration building, so that's not the right building. So is it this way?
Research.
Okay,
1st
now I'm in
floor.
the research building. Now I need to get to the 3rd floor.
Exhibit. Research. 2nd floor. Research. 3rd floor.
Now I'm on the 3rd floor, and there's a map here, and I actually have access to what's on the map, which is rarely the case for a lot of apps on iOS or any other platform.
Exhibit.
But-
Exhibit. Ancient fossils. Exhibit. Window on research. Exhibit. Overlook to daily. Exhibit. Unraveling DNA. Research lab. Genome. Exhibit. Exhibit. Ancient fossils. New discoveries.
I know it's here somewhere, the Beyond thing that I was looking for, but they're kind of just small, and I
Exhibit.
could just...
Beyond Our Planet.
Oh, there you
Link.
go. Beyond Our Planet. So I found it, and I have a pretty decent understanding, if I spent some more time with this map, of how the floor is laid out. Needless to say, all the controls and stuff in this app are labeled correctly, and also VoiceOver has access to them. And I'll stop it there, and hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you.
Copyright Art Beyond Sight, 2014.